Welcome to Gardenside Chats, where we bring together the voices of the natural landscaping movement to share the beauty and benefits of native plant gardening. Wild Ones promotes native landscapes through education, advocacy, and collaborative action. We encourage everyone to join us. The SoBro Conservancy of Saratoga Springs is a nonprofit organization dedicated to conserving vacant urban parcels and transforming them into pollinator-friendly green spaces. At the heart of its work is the quarter-acre site at 209 South Broadway, where SoBro aims to create a vibrant, ecologically rich green space at one of Saratoga's most visible intersections. With a mission rooted in environmental stewardship and public education, SoBro seeks to demonstrate how restoring native habitat in an urban setting strengthens the web of life that supports human well-being. The Wild Ones Capital Region New York chapter has been a key supporter of the SoBro project, donating 200 native plants to help establish a resilient, biodiverse landscape. In addition to this generous contribution, chapter members have provided hands-on volunteer labor during planting and workdays, playing an essential role in bringing SoBro's vision to life.
So I'm Kate Maynard. I'm a board member of SoBro and also active volunteer with Wild Ones. And we are with the Capital Region Wild Ones chapter. So this effort really started with our fearless leader, Tom Denny. He had a brainstorm, and I remember at one point we were on different volunteer organizations together. He knew my interest in restoration and native plants, and we took a walk around my neighborhood looking at trees, and he said, all right, top secret, but I'm thinking of purchasing this site to basically be a restored pollinator oasis in the middle of the city. So for quite a number of months, it was the action of him securing the property. So it was donated by owners, becoming a 501c3. And then numerous steps involved, attracting interested people, which honestly has not been an issue. It's very exciting to see the cross-section of people who have come into working on SoBro together in a variety of ways. So after setting up the 501c3, there was board activity to add to the board of Tom and his wife, Diane, and family, really. And then also a really great active group of volunteers. The first year was a lot of planning, as good projects usually start with. I'm a urban planner, by the way, in terms of background. There was a lot of work hands-on to get the soil in improvement. So there was numerous work parties that were led. After amending the soil, we had Design Wild, which is actually a local Shanti Nagel. She grew up in the area, but is down closer to New York City and has done a lot of really great projects, pollinator-based, native plant-based in New York City. So she took on the role of really providing our backbone for planning, and then actually assisted in working through us on our planting days and securing the plants as well. So from there, we went to numerous work parties, which again, it was very exciting to see kind of continuing support, but then also new people come into the fold. We developed relationships or in the process of developing relationships with community organizations around us, like Stewart's, which is a very active convenience store, so much more. It's kind of local culture around here. And they provided, for example, food for our last get-together we had with the Housing Authority residents, which was just a couple weeks ago. We've been able to work through both the planting day, where we had 60-plus people come out and be able to do that. Wild Ones has been an incredible partner and sponsor throughout this effort. This was a vacant, abandoned former gas station site. So to see it culminate from this kind of dead space, and there was cars parking on it for the adjacent Dunkin' Donuts, to what the public is now seeing really grow up before them. It's very exciting. And I think the community has really responded in a large way to this tangible example of a native garden in the middle of a city. Pretty much this project would not exist if we didn't have volunteers. So this has been an entire volunteer effort. The only paid portion was for the design assistance that I mentioned, which was really critical to really give the backbone of a well-done, well-constructed site for very noticeable in the public eye space. So volunteers have been instrumental throughout, from initial moving of dirt to testing of dirt, the pH, to building in the rocks. We had a local developer assist by donating these boulders on site, to everything you can think of. The shed, for example, was built by local BOCES students. So the students were able to take this as their hands-on learning experience, and it seemed to be a great one for the students, in which they learned how to craft the structure, how it could get moved to the site. And there was a really great ribbon cutting that we had to honor their work and their contribution towards things. Joe, just off camera, Joe Garrison is actually hard at work doing the, as we know as gardeners, the never-ending work of weeding and keeping things in a good state. So we're really kind of growing as an organization as we're kind of reflecting that with the work on site. Our next stage is to complete the site physically with the remainder of beds. And then we're also looking to use some more formal paths that may wind through here, maybe like kind of like a fieldstone type path. So one of many inspirational things we've seen on site is in creating this site from its starting point. This was really, again, an abandoned site, really nothing growing on it. The soil was really, when we now analyzed it, really pretty much dead. And so to look at just in a short year-plus amount of time, seeing how the site is transformed, I personally am just amazed how pollinators can find a site like this in the middle of a city, somehow being just kind of honed in on what they're sensing as pollinator-based plants, et cetera. So we were here just a few weeks ago. We've been seeing kind of more bugs, different type of insects, pollinators, butterflies coming in. But there was really an interesting moment a few weeks ago. We were planning an event here with the Housing Authority and talking about logistics and everything. And we both looked over, Tom Denny and I, and we saw these two monarchs just kind of, doing this incredible, as if it was planned for a dance. So just to experience that and just, again, note that nothing was here. There are no monarch butterflies here, even 2 years ago. And to what we're seeing happen before our eyes, it's just very exciting. And I think the community, again, is very excited about it as well. So I probably mentioned it earlier, but Shanti Nagel from Design Wild, she is a local, grew up here, and now based near New York City, doing a number of really fantastic native plant gardens and designs. So she really worked to help us pull together a concept plan, and then actually gave us planting lists and plans for the beds that we've been able to build out thus far. The actual planting day was so much fun. You had people just show up, and all the plants were kind of in a box truck, and it was like the big reveal. The curtain kind of came up, and all the plants were there, and you had all these excited gardeners and other folks putting them where they were going to go generally in beds. And then for the next, it was a half-day event, really. You had everyone kind of pitching in, those who kind of knew plants very well to those who first time picking up a shovel, all actively involved in transforming this space. So it's that really, I think there's a lot of heart at this site. And I think that's something I see absolutely continuing into the future. I think probably this is the epitome of a grassroots site, being that it's all volunteers. For someone who is interested in moving forward, I am really encouraged that there seems to be so much more coming online in terms of resources, assistance. Everyone has their own journey to native plants. Mine was probably roughly 3-4 years ago. And I remember there just didn't seem to be much out there. You're learning where you could grab things, and people, really helpful people. I feel like there's just a growing number of resources, a place to get plants, which we all know is critical at the local level. That's more and more becoming of assistance. So I think looking at resources, especially wild ones, of course, and making sure to utilize your local expertise and connections, and then really gravitating out from that to other resources. There's so much out there. So if you have the heart to do it, find people like you, not necessarily just like you, because what we find is if you have a commonality, you can attract people from all sorts of different standpoints. It might be a senior assisted living facility. It might be a community grocery store. So cast a wide net for who might be interested and who might be your partners in putting the project together would be my advice. I am gearing up to teach a class this semester at University at Albany, and it's focused on ecosystem adaptation in a disadvantaged community, a part of the city of Albany. That's not all that that community is, but it's a label that's put on it to kind of, really kind of suss out opportunities and challenges for that community. So focusing on the heat island effect, focusing on as things change, so climate adaptation that needs to take place in a very quick manner, thinking of things like biodiversity. I think we've had kind of a long separation from nature and cities. And I think there's a thread, a path, kind of gradually bringing us back to nature being incorporated and appreciated throughout our communities. So I think native plants are a way to connect people back to nature, to be aware of their surroundings. I can't tell you how many times I know this reflects among other gardeners and people, how when you stop and just kind of look at, I call it nature TV, my garden in front of my porch, just see what's landing on certain plants, understand what happens at what time in the garden. Connecting back to nature in that way is just invaluable. And I think lends to a deeper understanding of the changes taking place and what needs to happen. So native plants and native trees are at kind of really the heart of bringing that biodiversity and even that ecosystem adaptation back into our cities. So just in terms of what is about, this site is so important too for public education and awareness. And so even in sites, we were just talking about the noises around us and just the city life surrounding the site. You can have a successful pollinator location such as this. And we're very excited about the public really being made more aware and understanding what this means and whatever the takeaways might be. Ideally, planting locations like this, or at least caring for locations, but connecting with people in different ways is one of the goals here.